Hello and welcome to live My First Election coverage from the Spartan Newsroom. I'm Julie Dunmire. Joining me is Michigan State journalism senior Connor Clark, who's done some extensive research on political advertisements. Thanks for joining us, Connor.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell me a little bit about the research you've done?
Yeah, a lot of stuff, especially over the past few months, is we've seen a lot of different things with ad buying, especially compared to like 2012. This has been a very different election where the kind of advertising we've seen, especially political ads, whether it's on TV, we see a lot less buying this year compared to 2012. And I think a lot of it, especially with social media and especially Donald Trump's use of it, has really seen a big decrease in that, because we've seen that there's other strategies that people are trying to use to see how votes can sway their way, to see if that's the ultimate way they can win the election.
So when you say ad buying, you mean like buying TV time or print advertisements?
Right.
So do you think that that has decreased, or what have you found in that with the use of social media?
Well, it's decreased because there's different things of where Trump's used a lot of social media, especially Twitter, to get his different opinions out there. And he's kind of owned the news space in that way. A lot of different talk back and forth is whether, does he have too much media time? Is, Hillary not getting enough coverage? Things like that. But it's kind of just a different tone. Instead of him, going out and buying all these different ads where, through the month of October, he didn't really buy any, especially local ad spot. He spent a lot of his time, going with the social media aspect, where Clinton has kind of blanketed the market and usually has the advantages in advertising, meaning that she buys more ads in a certain area than Trump does. And we haven't really seen Trump do that until this month alone, kind of coming down the home stretch, to where he's really reached out, especially in like states of Michigan. I know there's been a big increase in ad buys in this state alone. Same with like Wisconsin, certain, new formed battleground states over, who they can kind of steal for late minute votes.
How much has the ad buying increased in Michigan? Do you have any information about that? I know he's made a visit to Grand Rapids last night, kind of a last campaign effort in the state.
Yeah, he's done a lot of different things, and like this state's important because, for his demographic, he's kind of going for the, white male, a little like uneducated, and there's, a certain populace, especially in Michigan and like parts of Wisconsin, to where he feels that if he can kind of take one of these states, kind of one that leans Democratic but isn't necessarily, 100% committed to being a blue state, he thinks if he can steal one of those, that ultimately, the election will sway his way. And so what we've seen is now recently he actually has, an advantage in advertising buys in Michigan, just a little bit, not much, but it's really kind of just like a last-ditch effort to see if he could steal, this state or, a state like Wisconsin.
For the average Joe learning about media ad buying, these political ads, what would you tell them if you were talking to someone like your mom and just telling her about how this has changed from 2012 to now?
I would just tell them that over time, they're gonna come out with different things, and it's kind of like the types of ads. A lot of things are about like negative ads and different things, and we've seen a lot more positivity in ads too, because it's there's kind of a stigma back and forth of how you kind of just bash your opponent the whole time, and it goes back and forth. But really to kind of see that you got to do research behind the ads themselves of what you see, because there's more that hides it, because obviously each candidate has to put their best foot forward. So just to tell them that you're going to be seeing a lot of different content. Make sure that you weigh both sides of it before ultimately making your decision.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Connor. And you're watching live election coverage from My First Election from the Spartan Newsroom. I'm Julie Dunmire. Stay tuned for more interviews.